Hi everyone, my name is Sharple Instincts, and today we are talking about the Vive Pro, specifically the first impressions. I actually started recording this yesterday. I finished recording it, I just never edited it yesterday. However, I abandoned that because yesterday, whenever I got this thing out, I was giddy. I was so excited, and I didn't want to just release that kind of video because of all of the issues with the price and a bunch of, like some pretty hurt feelings on this thing. I didn't want to just do like my giddy excitement. I wanted to sleep on it. I wanted to make sure that the feelings that I had were more than just my gut reactions at the time. I really wanted to make sure that those feelings lasted at least through a night. I'm happy to say that they have. Okay, there are a lot of amazing things about this thing. There are also some negatives. We're going to talk about both those, and then in later videos, we're going to get deeper into the actual details of it, okay? So this is pretty much a high level, still going over the first impressions, a little bit detailed on some pieces, but I'm not going to go and like compare the lenses directly on this one. I do want to go into that later on, get like really good pictures so you can see the screen door effect and all the other things that we want to see. However, for now, I'm just going to get into the high level details. I put up a Reddit post just a few minutes ago asking you guys for questions on what you want to see. I'm covering a couple of those pieces here. However, a lot of them I'm going to be doing in the more detailed because you guys are asking some awesome detailed questions. So please keep them up, and I will try to do whatever I can to answer as many as I can. All right, so let's talk about build quality first. Looking at the very front of this headset, like the general feel of this thing is very similar to the existing Vive. One definite call out to the improvement in the build quality is the ability to move the lenses in and out instead of having that weird like pulling out and rotating. And I always felt like at risk of doing that. Like I felt like I was going to be breaking the thing. Now there's just a button and that feels very easy to push it in and out. No problem there. And that is critical if you wear glasses. My wife and my son do, and we'll talk more about that later on. However, like this is a very nice improvement. The only downside though is whenever it's at its full like extent, so whenever it goes all the way out, it can wobble a little bit. So I don't know if you can see or hear that. So that's kind of not great. However, whenever it goes all the way in, like it's rock solid again. So this, like I'm happy with the build quality of this. It's not a dramatic improvement from the Vive 1. However, I've been using this thing for 2 years now and never had an issue with it. So build quality is good enough. The back of the headset, if you're using the deluxe audio strap, this is a dramatic improvement. If you're not using one of those, well, I mean, there's not really much you can like improve on just like cloth straps. But the back of the deluxe audio strap always felt a little bit, like it felt okay, but it felt a little bit rickety. Like, I don't know, I just always a little bit concerned whenever I put it on and off. This is a huge improvement. It's still, like it's not made out of plastic. I think before the deluxe audio strap had some like aluminum pieces. So maybe that's where I felt like I was gonna bend it. This, like it seems like it could flex a little bit more, but at the same time, like, I don't know, this is definitely more fragile than the Vive 1 if you had bought it without deluxe audio strap, just because that cloth, you couldn't mess it up. This, like, if you step on it, you're probably going to be in it for a bad day. So similar to the deluxe audio strap, there's some concerns there. But in terms of just normal use, right, as long as you're not making, like, an accident or, stepping on it, then you're probably going to be, this feels like it's going to hold up. The back of it feels very similar to the deluxe audio strap without, like, the ratcheting that I felt before. Like, I don't know if it comes through it. Like, if I put pressure on it, you can feel it ratcheting. If there's no pressure, like it moves freely in and out. So I think this is a good improvement over the deluxe audio strap. The headphones, these feel great. Okay, these, like, I love what they've done with the articulation in here and just being able to move them position however you want, and they just feel solid. Also, in terms of like the build quality, I was really confused with like this big pad at the back at first. Like it's a padding, literally for padding, but gosh, that has some improvements for comfort. So they did a great job of the overall build quality. I expect this thing's gonna last as long as you don't take a tumble. All right, so speaking of those pads, let's talk about the comfort of this thing. Like on my head, I'm gonna do what I can to not just start like gushing over some of these pieces in this review, but it will probably bubble out a little bit. This feels so good. So it's still not like wearing like a little piece of glass, right? You can still tell that it's there. However, the weight distribution, the weight, like just in general, like everything about it feels so much better. These pads on the back, like what it does, like how it like kind of hugs your head and just holds on there, it makes all the difference. Now, I never really felt like I had discomfort issues with the Vive 1. The only times that it became an issue is if I was sitting still for a prolonged period of time. Like, I couldn't watch a movie with the Vive one. Like, I just couldn't do it, because if it just sitting in one spot, for whatever reason, it just got uncomfortable. Whenever I move around, I never really had that issue. I could like stay in active games for hours and hours on end, but I can't like sit still for 30 minutes without feeling it uncomfortable, which may explain why I like room scale games just so much. However, for this, I can see myself watching a movie with this without even like blinking an eye, and I will be testing this. The comfort is just so much better. Now, the visuals on this thing, like, we all know the stats, right? But it's kind of hard to really get an idea of what those stats are. Somebody on the Reddit asked if it's like the difference between like VHS and Blu-ray. No, not the difference between VHS and Blu-ray. You're getting closer if you're talking about like DVD to Blu-ray, all right? It's noticeable, but like, have you looked at a VHS recently? That's a very, very different thing. But I think most people realize that like the pixel count, the pixel density, like those are going to have like really good benefits. You're going to be able to see things more clearly, and you can read text. We can talk more about that in detail later on. We can absolutely read text, and the pixel, like the screen door effect, has definitely been diminished. So those are fantastic things, but that is oddly not what strikes home the most for the increased in resolution. And this is going to be something that's going to be kind of hard to really kind of quantify. 2 years ago now, I did the like 30 days with the Vive video, and I was talking about how the first time that I put on the Vive headset, I felt like just underwhelmed with the resolution and the field of view. But after like 15 minutes, I got used to it and it didn't bother me anymore. While that is very true, I think there was a missing piece of that. So to explain this, I'm going to give a little bit of a metaphor. You ever been in a room with a really bad smell, and you don't realize that there's a bad smell in that room until you like walk out or walk back in, and then it like hits you in the face like, whoa, how was I sitting in this? I didn't realize it. Like, that's kind of how I am now thinking of the Vive 1's resolution compared to this. Like, yes, I kind of got used to it. However, in the back of your mind, you like, there's always something wrong with sitting in that room. Yeah, you're used to it and it doesn't like actively bother you. However, once you walk out of it, you're like, oh, this feels so much better. I'm now realizing that like whenever I'm in this headset, like just everything feels better. It's not just about the increase in resolution. It's not just that I can see things more clearly. It is like the feeling of being in VR. It doesn't have like this issue in the back of your mind that's always just kind of like uncomfortableness. Like it's just, you don't realize it's there, but it is. And now it's not there, or at least if it is, it's not there as much. Like, there's still not perfect resolution. There's still a slight screen door effect. So I cannot wait for the next version of this to come out with, you know, like, let's double it and see what happens. So I cannot wait to find out that even this smells bad. Sorry, weird metaphors, but I think that conveys what I'm trying to say. Now, on the flip side of that, there's actually kind of a problem to having the higher resolution. So I was playing In Death, which if you haven't played it yet, awesome game, roguelike bow and arrow game, fantastic. However, I was walking around and I'm like looking at the textures, and I never noticed this before. However, the textures like on the walls, like in some cases, like they're a little bit lower resolution than what I would have expected. But that's not something that you notice whenever the screen's resolution of the headset that you're looking through can't really pick out those details. And also, what was really shocking was I remember thinking to myself as I was playing this game with the Vive 1 the first time, how awesome it was that they had these really cool like art sculptures like up in the top. And I was thinking how cool it was that they went through the detail of adding those sculptures. They're not sculptures. They're just flat textures, but I couldn't tell. Like, I guess the depth, I don't even know how this is possible. Maybe it's just because I'm like looking around, okay? So take this with a grain of salt. It may just because like I'm like, looking around at all the detail right now. However, I remember seeing the sculpture and thinking that it was a sculpture, but it was instantly obvious with this thing that's a flat texture, and it's not quite as awesome as it used to be. So devs are going to have to step up their game just a little bit. It seems like I'm able to pick out some of the some of the cheating that is done, or the shortcuts that they're able to take. Now, last thing on the feeling of the visuals, though, and this is something that whenever I got in there and I tested it, I fell in love with it. So if you guys don't know, I love shooting pistols. I go to the range, and that is one of the biggest stress relievers in my life, is just going to the range and shooting paper, okay? I don't care what your stance is on guns. That's not what this is about. However, in VR, I have always felt always a little bit disappointed whenever I'm trying to shoot down the sights of a gun. All right, I don't necessarily like scopes. I like using the iron sights. However, if like even with a pistol, again, it's just like a couple feet in front of your face, like finding the detail between the front of the sight and the back spokes of the sight. Like in VR, it's not obvious. Like it's just the aiming is harder and it's not as easy. I went into the onward shooting range and I could see everything, and I cannot tell you how excited I was. It was so nice being able to shoot that gun with the same, with better visual fidelity, more closely resembling what I have in the real world. Like it was so nice being able to just quickly pick it up, acquire my sight, and then just shoot. Like in VR though, like there's always a little bit of a guessing, like is that the front sight or is it not? I can't tell because resolution, it's like I got like 1 pixel to use. And then shooting down range, I've never really been able to, I've been able to do it, but it hasn't been as comfortable to use just the two controllers. And I'm not even talking about using the mount. I'm talking about using the rifles with two controllers. Like there was just no way. I couldn't, like, I was spending too much time looking for my sights to actually hold my thing steady. Anyway, don't know what all the issues were. However, it was uncomfortable to aim long range down with a rifle, especially with the iron sights. You could do it with the red dot, but now I can just use the iron sights of the gun and things are just clicking and it's working. For the next couple weeks, I am going to be in Onward probably quite a lot, and I will feel like a cheater because I will be able to see things that nobody else can see. Like, it's going to be fantastic, and I'm so sorry, but I'm going to abuse it. All right, so now before we get into the negative, a couple of just sort of more random positives that I've noticed with this thing. For one, the nose gasket of this thing, it does such a good job of blocking out light. Like the immersion that helps with is astounding. Not having just that, like you don't realize it, like you don't focus on it while you're in there, but like it's obvious. And so whenever you don't have that light just leaking in from all sides or from underneath it, it makes a huge difference. Okay, so awesome improvement there. Also another improvement, and we already talked about this, is the ability for me to be able to move this in and out. That has helped dramatically with both my wife and my son. They have no problems using this now, that even though before, like with the glasses, that was a bit of an issue. So they're able to use their existing glasses, no problem with this thing whatsoever. On top of that, like I have a excessively large skull, okay? My wife and kids, however, they have normal size heads, / maybe even a little bit smaller size heads than most people. And this is comfortable. My wife has always felt uncomfortable in the Vive. Like she could never just really play it. She could never get it to fit right. Even with the deluxe audio strap, it helped, but she couldn't get it to where it was like just comfortable. She loves this. The padding that they've added to the back of this thing, it is more impactful than you could really realize. Like it looks crazy at first. Like if you just like look at it close up, look at this. Like it's just like that seems excessive, but nope, that is just the right amount. It's perfect. So she loves it. Both of my kids, they're able to strap it on in just a few seconds, get it to a very comfortable position. My wife, just a few clicks and she's ready to go, where before she always had to mess with it, make sure her hair was just right, make sure that the strap was in just the right position. It is so much easier to find that comfort spot. All right, so not everything is sunshine and roses with this thing. So first off, the headphones. Now, this is not quite fair as being a full-on negative. However, I was expecting an improvement over the deluxe audio strap. I don't feel like it is. The hardware, like the actual things that go over my ear, like that feels really good. It does a great job of blocking external sounds. It's comfortable. Gosh, it's comfortable. Like even though it surrounds my ears and it's over the ear, it blocks the sound, but it doesn't feel like, I don't feel like the intense pressure that I feel with a lot of over-ear headphones. And I have some pretty large ears, okay? So I typically have an issue with this. These go over my ear and they don't hurt. They feel fantastic. So while that's an improvement, I don't feel like the actual audio itself is an improvement. I don't think it's any worse. However, based off the advertising, I was expecting something much more impressive. Now that said, I'm not an audiophile, right? So I don't actually have the same obsessive issue with a lot of headphones that most people seem to. I was working with Turtle Beach's Fine for a couple years, and I don't have an issue with that. Now, if we're talking about like listening to like the Beatles or like classical music or just something that I really want those highs and those lows and everything perfect, that's a different story. However, for games, I don't care if an explosion has like the perfect level of bass. Okay, so I don't know. For gaming, I'm not quite as concerned about it as some people are. However, I totally understand the people that are, and no criticism there at all. You can remove these headphones. That's a plus. But that leads me to my next downside, and this is kind of really sad to confirm. There is no USB on this thing. There is no headphone jack on this thing. So unless you have a good set of wireless headphones with like no latency, this is going to be a pretty big disappointment because you're not going to be able to use your typical like wired headphones. And also, this means I won't be able to use my Vive and Chill, which I've gotten pretty accustomed to it. Really sad that the Vive and Chill, at least with the solution that they have right now, it won't work. Maybe I could like strap a couple AA batteries to that thing and make it function. That is probably something that I'm going to be looking into because I really like the Vive and Chill. Speaking of cables and ports, as confirmed in the unboxing, this cable, the new cable that comes with the headset, it is a new proprietary cable made by HTC, and it goes from the headset to the breakout box, which, if you're like me, you like to extend your cables. I have a fairly large room. I like to be able to like not worry about the cable like tangling it up and getting it too short. So I've always extended after the breakout box. Now I won't be able to unless HTC comes out with a new cable. So not thrilled with that. You can still extend it from the PC to the link box, but I never liked having that underfoot. So I can still extend it, but it's not the way that I want. I don't know, kind of disappointed with that. But hopefully wireless is coming soon, right? So we'll see. But for now, meh. All right, and then my last 2 points, the God rays. I don't know if it's just because I've been like looking around and just enjoying the high resolution. However, the God rays do seem more obvious now. It may just be because there's more pixels, there's more light. I'm not sure what it is. The God rays are more noticeable than I ever noticed in the Vive 1. Again, I'm gonna have to go back and actually do some like really good comparisons, like A/B testing, to see if that's true or if it's just my perception of it based off of like me being more hyper observant right now because I'm just enjoying the visuals. But the God rays did definitely seem worse. All right, and lastly, I have a GTX 1080. Whenever I load this thing up, by default, using the most recent Steam update where it like auto scales based off of your resolution, a GTX 1080 comes in at being, I think it was 78% downscaled. So even if you have a 1080, the recommended is lower than 100%. Not great. And so I did do some testing on this. I bumped it up to 100%, and in some cases, I did see some frame drops. Now, it wasn't enough for it to be a deal breaker, okay? Actually, most of the times where I saw frame drops were actually in the SteamVR menu, which was really bizarre. You would think that that wouldn't have quite as big of an issue on the GPU because it's just a big flat screen. However, like I went from like 75% of my GPU consumption up to like 95, pegging at 100 because I was getting frame drops. And so that's really weird. I also saw frame drops primarily in SteamVR Home, mainly because I think I'm using I'm using a Skyrim home thing, which is a beautifully rendered like a version of the Skyrim Wizard's Tower, but it's probably just not very well optimized. So I saw some frame drops there. I saw a little bit in in-depth whenever I was looking at like shiny reflections. So there are some gameplay frame drops that you're going to observe. It wasn't in any case that I saw enough to where I'd probably really want to lower that resolution. But there are probably going to be games that's going to be an issue. I probably need to try Doom to see what's going to happen there, or let me know what game you guys think I should test. All right, guys, that is it for my first impressions. I'd like to think that I covered a decent amount of the topics. However, you guys let me know what I missed. I'm sure there's plenty of them. So again, this was just the high-level overview. Now I want to go through and really kind of like take your guys' questions and really go in and nitpick this thing and get you the actual full details that you guys want. So either drop a comment in the video below or on the Reddit link. You can add some comments there. And also, please like upvote the comments that you guys want me to like pay attention to. Like if there's going to be a lot in there, like just going off the list of what you guys vote is going to be very, very helpful. But that is it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button below. If you didn't, hit the downvote button and let me know what I can do to make these videos better. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.